And welcome back to the hot stage. Elvyn Evans has come out and criticised the WRC calendar. Now, some aficionados that are not that into rally may think it's only 14 rounds. Formula 1 has more than 20. Look at NASCAR. But I think he's got a point. Yes, so Elfyn Evans has come out and said, this is the quote, we'll get into the main article in a bit. It's going to make quite a few careers shorter than they potentially could have been, had the championship featured a few more breaks in. And you're thinking, well, you know, there's lots of gaps sometimes between the rallies, but these guys are always, they do a lot more testing, for example, than Formula 1. So this is the main article. Elfyn Evans is a man of measured responses, it says. But the calendar, in terms of its length and cadence, is an issue that he has. Ott Tänak has already cited his reasons for stepping back from full-time competition as wanting to be with his family, and the fact that Toyota probably said no. Sorry. But Kalle Rovanperä also is going, and in a question and answer session with Club Dirtfish members, highlighted that he hadn't seen his pet dog in 10 weeks because of the non-stop travelling. They're talking about this maybe minor issue to get it, but rinse and repeat over the course of a year, and I guess it does start to build up. Evans said, I think it, as in the calendar, needs a longer break at some point in the year. With all the travel and everything, you reach a certain point of fitness at some points in the year. It's difficult to even maintain that because the schedule is so tight. He said at the moment it's missing a few key breaks to look after yourself, and I think it's going to make quite a few of our careers shorter than they potentially could have been had the championship featured a few more breaks in. So he wants to be clear, he's not advocating for fewer rallies, thank goodness, but he's talking about the breaks in between the rallies. He said if the schedule of rallies can be a bit more forgiving, then it wouldn't necessarily have to be less events. But something has to give somewhere, whether it can be in the number of events or the timescale of events. Now we know 14 rounds at first glance may not seem laborious, Dirtfish says, and it doesn't initially on paper. But Formula 1, as we know, has 24 rounds a year. A typical professional soccer team, football team, if you will, has 38 league matches plus additional cup, maybe breaking the 50 plus mark. A lot more than 14 rallies. However, Evans points out it's not about that. These disciplines have a clear off season where rest, recovery and training can be conducted without interruption. Rallying's current calendar cannot afford this, as we know. Let's have a look. This is the current calendar. Monaco, 22nd of January. And what? The Saudi, the next rally in Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi's Formula 1. The next rally in Saudi Arabia is basically the middle of November, well, towards like the last week of November, full week. And that doesn't really give that much time then between rallies, doesn't it? Like, at all. So you may have a point. He says, what's very different in rallying to most other sports is I don't think anybody has a season as long as we do. We barely have a summer break, and we definitely don't have an off-season break. Now, compare that to the Formula 1 calendar, and it ends in December and starts again in March. I think 2026, 6th and the 8th of Australia, and it ends in December, so it's quite similar to this year. So yeah, there is more of a break, and they also have a summer break as well, which is normally between you got July, Belgium, 24th to 26th in Hungary in July, and then the 21st to 23rd of August. That is 4 weeks. They have a 4-week break. But then there are sometimes a long time between rallies. But he says if you look at mountain biking, they have them from the end of October until March. Even Formula 1 has the start of December until March. We seem to finish at the end of November and already testing before Christmas. And that, I think, is the issue. The 26th season then begins with the Monte Carlo Rally, as we know, in mid-January, while there is a 50-day gap between the final wheel being turned at this year's season finale in Saudi and the recce beginning for Monte. And there is pre-event testing conducted in between. By comparison, Formula 1 has an uninterrupted 48-day gap between the post-season Pirelli test in Abu Dhabi, where not all the drivers, to be fair, go, on December the 9th, and the first pre-season test in Barcelona that begins on January the 26th. He says, I think it's a unique sport from that point of view. A lot of travelling and a lot of time away. Now, whether to keep pressing on or wind back your commitment to rallying is a decision Ogier knows well. He took the time to step back in 2021 and being able to focus more keenly on fewer events has helped him rediscover why rallying is his dream job. Let's be fair, he nearly always goes into a rally at the weekend as one of the favourites now. Even Ogier said, I didn't have enough motivation to really carry on full time for sure. And that's what he said when he stopped at the end of 2021. Hello, Ogier 2025. He said, I found some joy in doing it less, but more intensely in going to rallies with more of a wish to do it and not feeling forced. You should never have that feeling because it's a dream. What we do is it's a fantastic job. When I was a kid, I was always dreaming of that. It's nice to find a way to really appreciate it. Again, with me, it worked perfectly well. And I think it absolutely does for Ogier. So yeah, the one thing I do get is the gap between the end of November, towards the end of November, and then the end of January. It doesn't really seem that long, at least not in Formula One circuits, because they're testing, as he said before. And I can only assume maybe it's best then just to have, when the rally finishes, a blanket test ban, no more rallying until maybe the beginning of January. At least get Christmas out of the way. But I do feel that Elvyn Evans definitely does have a point there. What do you think? Comment below, let us know. But until then, think about subscribing, because that's going to make us really, really happy if you're not subscribed to our new channel, The Heart Stage, where we talk rally. We'll be coming up soon with our Saudi Arabia preview for the title. But until then, I'm sure we'll see you before. Speak to you soon. Thank you for watching. But above all else, stay safe.